Hey, Pavel, how are
Hi,
you?
hi,
Hi from
Amir.
Tel Aviv.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Amir.
I think you need to raise your voice a little bit so we hear you a bit better.
Sure, will
Oh,
do. No
that's
worries.
better. So great to have you on board. This is a live with Hype session, and today we are hosting a great startup just completed our accelerator, the Global Virtual Accelerator. And Pavel, maybe you're speaking from Poland, yeah?
Yes, that's correct. Warsaw, Poland. That's where we're
Yeah,
based.
wonderful. So maybe you can just share a little bit first what you're doing, what problems are you solving. In our audiences, we have, the industry, I would say, universe, sport universe in terms of clubs, federations, brands, other startups. So tell us a little bit of what you do, what problems are you solving?
Sure. So we're obviously a sport tech startup. That's why we were in Hype Accelerator. We're addressing the analytical space in sports. So starting with football or soccer, we are bringing a powerful tools, data processing and data analytical tools into the sports world. In practice, that means that our startup, RespoVision, acquires a very detailed representation of a game, of a sporting event, such as football game, by very detailed. I mean, three-dimensional positions of player body parts, the movements, the formations, the game itself. So the very detailed data about the game. And then we crunch this data in order to make predictions about the future, as well as analytics of the current performance. So you may imagine that the logic of the startup is about gathering as much information as we can, more than is currently being processed and is currently being captured using current technology, and then bring value to the end customers by crunching this data. Which end customers? From our perspective, the end customers that can benefit from the data we get and the information, the insights, are obviously clubs and federations, which is like the straightforward thing to do. Decision makers, coaches, scouts in such businesses, but also auxiliary businesses working with in the sports world. And I mean media, broadcasting companies, and bookmakers, which also utilize the information about the game itself, players, and the teams.
So if I understood you right, your customers can be teams, clubs, federations, like the PSG and the Golden State of the world and Liverpool of the world, but also leagues like FIBA and UEFA, etc., etc. But also broadcasters and you said even sports betting companies like I don't know MGM. So basically, you're touching almost every aspect of the sport. So and this is mainly on performance, so you can also analyze other data regarding the fans.
Mhm. So we are not doing a fan engagement or fan statistics data. It's about the game itself. I do
Okay.
agree. It's a broad definition. But then again, if you look at it from a high level perspective and ask yourself who can benefit from a detailed data and the information that stem out of it, it's basically everyone who makes decision based on the data and based on the actual flow of the game. And no surprise then that you arrive at the understanding and belief that both clubs, bookmakers, and media are entities that will benefit from a better understanding and better analysis of the game itself. I may bring you a practical example or
Please.
practical anecdote, so to say. So myself personally, I worked for several years in AI industry, like AI services, providing services to various sectors or industries, industrial, manufacturing, car making, etc. So one of the worst kept worst kept secrets of AI is that usually data trumps models. So it's better if you are trying to do something with data, with analytics. It's better to have data set that fully represent the actual underlying real life process and weak model, generic model, than the other way around. Because if you're missing a data which reflects the reality, you will end up with a huge variance, with huge differences in what you predict, because of the fact that you base it on just a fraction of the real world process. So with that in mind, we have started our vision, our idea of the company from this understanding that first and foremost you have to sort the data and what's happening in the game of football, soccer, and in the sports, and try to capture as much as you can, and only then build analytics on top of that.
Excellent. Very good example for people to visualize and to understand the value. Now, Pawel, you're a successful startup. You managed to accomplish quite a lot. In the middle of the heart of the COVID-19, 3-4 months ago, where people were looking and thinking, what shall I do now? You decided to join the Hype Virtual Accelerator. What were you thinking? Why did you need this at all?
So, as you may imagine, in practice, accelerators have several key items that that from startup perspective are important, and those are network, those are knowledge, and those are those are mentoring and support that you can give. Having said that, entering any accelerator, especially if you don't know the guys personally, and that was our case, we weren't affiliated or weren't part of any previous initiative of Hype, there's always a question mark whether the expectations will be met, etc., etc. So obviously, in our case, it was let's say a leap of faith of sorts in order to get to enter the accelerator, invest resources, time, etc. What made us believe that, if you're asking about the particular factor that made us believe to enter, was a very honest and solid pitching from you guys and from the accelerator, with very practical and tangible arguments, not just painting a broad picture of a huge success sometime in the future, but actually drilling down to the very useful factors, such as this is our network, we have access to these guys we have as a mentors, and they can help you grow your business. And basically, we have already done this amount of startups, this amount of funding. So, well, we are not pitching something in the blue sky, but things very, very tangible. So that stroke particular nerves into our that made us believe that it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen in our case. So that was our
So we managed to I would say to enroll you to the opportunity to join the accelerator and invest your time and resources. How did you find it? Was it worthwhile at all?
Yes. So this question wasn't staged. So my honest answer is that yes, it even exceeded the expectations. So especially from two perspectives. From a network perspective, the Hype network, the Hype alumni network, as well as the other startups that we have interacted with and built, have synergetic discussions on how we can proceed further together or in partnership. The network effect is huge and immense, and it exceeded our expectations definitely. So we haven't thought so many valuable contacts and partnerships can be made via just participating.
Give me an example of contact you got or valuable person you're speaking to.
So, for instance, we've been in contact with several leading European clubs with whom we've entered partnerships. Among them, I can name PSG, I can name Manchester City clubs of this format, which are part of Hype Network, with whom we've interacted and with whom we will strike commercial partnerships in the future, fingers crossed. As well as a mentor network of mentors, and that's the second part of my the answer I wanted to give. So mentors who are a industry practitioner, who are not just just a another startups, trying to fit into large boots of being a mentor, but actually guys with several years or dozens of years practical experience, knowing the market, knowing the nitty-gritty details of how you build successful venture, because they run internal incubators in large brands, in large global brands, or they have advised several startups before that. We've benefited very much from such discussions, and I will tell you the following. So in our case, in my case, and other co-founders, that will be a confession of sorts. We've been a bit arrogant entering the Hype, because we have a background in management consulting. I spent several years as an employee of BCG, so like really good company, a business university of sorts, you can name it. So we were like, well, let's see whether they will amuse us or whether they will teach us something new. And guess what happened? We were actually humbled by the amount of information and the practicality of the feedback we received. So this arrogant smirk was quickly we quickly lost it and replaced it with a very impressive and very thankful smile of appreciation of what we are going to, of what we get.
Thank you very much, Pawel. It takes something to say what you just said, and this is shows something about you and your team. The ability and the openness to learn and to be better. Can you take us a little bit to the future? If we speak in a year time, what will happen to RespoVision? What have you created if we already meet in a year time?
So the vision of the company is to be the sports data provider. So to be the direction or the company which collects, aggregates, processes, and sells the best information, the best data from the sport world. In 1 year time, we will still be focused on football, which is the largest from the European perspective, and we are a European company. It's the biggest market and our core focus. So in a year perspective, we'll still be rooted in football. In 3 years perspective, we plan to go beyond football. But a year from now, we would like to be, and we plan to be, the data provider regarding football. And that means if you are a party interested in knowing about the game, in improving your processes that touches upon football as a sport, it doesn't matter whether you are a club, bookmaker, media provider, or some newspaper, or someone else who would like to introduce, or a federation, or a national federation, or multinational federation. We would like to be the party that will provide you with the best information, and not only raw data, just acquired data and just send in a XLS or CSV files, but also process data with insights, with predictions, with valuable, tangible information that you can introduce and implement to your processes.
Excellent. So you have real technology there, and you can be, I would say, this is priceless in terms of the value, and we understand it for the different stakeholders of sports. So anybody who's hearing us today and haven't already, got in touch with RespoVision and learn what the unique services and I would say benefits you can give, I think that this is an opportunity to find you and to hear what you already done and what is what the potential of working together. To summarize, anything you want to say, anything you want to wrap up in terms of the way forward, anything to summarize the last 3 months?
Yeah. So I will split it into two parts. So first would be more high level part. I mean, like building upon your words, Amir. So we are strong believers in a technological revolution. Revolution is an overused word, but then again, I will use it anyway. Technological revolution that will happen in sports, especially in football, because this is something you can imagine as an extension of what is happening in other industries. Obviously, the technological innovation driven by AI, but not only AI itself, also usage of data, smartness of people, who curate the data, who work on it, who get insights from it. It's making further and further steps into further and further industries, and sports and football, we believe, and we are sure of that, will be no exception. I mean, you cannot expect a industry to be not touched by this march. By March, I mean, March of the more in-depth and further information being used and being leveraged. So we are strong believers in that, and we would like to be, and we plan to be the company that will help introduce that, gather it in a most efficient fashion by computer vision AI algorithms in a precise manner, and then crunch it and provide to interested parties. So that's the vision perspective that that stands behind the whole idea of the company. As per the second part of my answer, more short-term points, I would like to say that we are during COVID was a specific time, but it also helped us learn the lesson. The lesson of that if you're good enough, you're gonna make it, and you shouldn't stop doubting yourself, but you should focus on your core strengths. In our case, the strength was the technology backed by the vision. And of course, if not for COVID, some things would have happened earlier for us, like an investment, for instance, which we are closing more or less right now. So it would probably happen like 3, 5, 6 months earlier. But then again, we wouldn't be in a place in which we are right now. We have moved forward in practical applications, in the product development itself, that helped us gather more specific or more related investors in the sports tech, deep tech area. So from the short-term perspective, the lesson I want to underline, the lesson and the learning was that there is a certain paradox about situations such as black swan events such as COVID, because in other words, from our perspective, if you're good enough, you're gonna make it. You're probably gonna make it anyway, apart from some edge cases. And if you're not good enough, it's gonna make you fall earlier or quicker. So still, if you value your time, it's also a good thing. So having said that, it's also the part of this thinking. And I think you, Amir, you are very well versed in that, because I heard your lectures about that. This thinking that if you that you should be open and frank with yourself. You should know your strengths. You should play your strengths, and you should and you should try to make most of every situation, because at the end of the day, it might be exactly what was needed in order to fuel the growth or to make good things happen even faster.
Excellent. I hear you, and I see I would say, proactive, I would say bold approach you have taken, and your team throughout these special times, and I think it's a progress you have done in these special times. This is not something you can anybody can take for granted. So understanding your technology a little bit, I think there is a great potential here for really to talk in 5 years' time and to see a huge success was created. And we're going to follow you through the alumni program of Hype and the next stages. And we just learned that you're now raising money. So for there is a place for people still to join, I guess, in this round.
Sure.
So if they hear this on time, they can ping us or ping you, and we can help move this forward. So thank you again, Pawel, for this. And thank you all for joining us. See you soon in the next live from Hype.